Hey, what's going on YouTube? My name is Raymon. Welcome to episode 2. Today we're going to talk about installing XCP-ng tools, and I'm going to show you how to compile Xen Orchestra with Debian 10. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is connect to our server. For that we're going to use the XCP-ng Center. I'm going to log in with our password. And as you can see, we're still using the same server like we installed in episode 1. And we also have our Windows 10 virtual machine running. Okay, as you can see, the I/O is not optimized and the management agent is not installed. So what I'm going to show you is how to install this. As we go to Performance tab, you can see to view the memory data for this VM, you need to install XCP-ng VM tools. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going back to console. I did made a few changes to this virtual machine, and that is adding a password. I installed Chrome and I activated the remote desktop because it's gonna be easier for me to show you to the remote desktop. So I'm gonna look at the first thing. That's the IP address of this machine. Status, details, and as you can see, that is 12. So let me open a remote desktop. Number 12 and connect. Password. And we have connected. Okay, so now that we have connected, we can close out this. And as you can see, the speed of this one is 100 megabits. This will change if we install the XCP-ng tools. So I'm going to close all of this. Oh, I did want to show you this. As you can see, this is a Realtek RTL 8139C fast Ethernet NIC. This will also change. So I'm going to close out this. I'm going to open Chrome. Okay, let's bring it in the middle a little bit. And I will go to this website. I will put the link in the description, and we're going to install the XCP-ng Windows PV Tools Release Candidate 1. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit more. So as you can see, it is a beta, but this is the release candidate. Don't worry, it's from last year. It will still work on this version. So I'm going to click on it. And then I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. And as you can see, we have an ISO or a zip file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download the ISO. Wait for that to download. Let's show it in a folder. And as you can see, I'm going to mount the ISO. Let's minimize this. And as you can see, we successfully mounted the ISO. So, make it a little bit smaller. Let's click on Setup. Preparing to install. Minimize this. Let's click on Next. We accept the terms. Yes, Next. Just leave it like this. Install IO drivers now. Yes, and install. Just click on Yes. And wait for it to finish. Okay, finish. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to reboot this machine. It will also say here, needs to restart the system to complete the installation. Press yes to restart the system now, or no if you plan to restart the system later. I'm going to restart it now. It will kick me out of the remote desktop. Let's go back to the general page and let's see what's going to happen in here. Or let me just put on the console so we can see what's going to happen. Let's undock this. Let's wait for it to load. Let me see if something's gonna change, and nothing changed. The I/O is optimized. Let's wait for it. Let's connect with the password. Windows Management Agent installed successfully. Let's check that by going back to the General tab. And as you can see, Management Agent is installed. Let's go back to our Performance tab. And as you can see, the performance we can also see now that we installed the Management Agent. So let us go back to the console. Let me minimize this. Let me reopen Remote Desktop. Connect. Password. And let's see what it did to our NIC. Let's go to Ethernet, change the adapter option. As you can see, it did change it. And let's see at the speed status. And as you can see, we now have a gigabit connection. Let me close out this. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is how to compile Xen Orchestra. Xen Orchestra is basically a web-based XCP-ng center. So I'm going to show you how to install this with Debian 10. So I'm going to close this remote desktop connection. Okay, let's open our web browser. Open a new tab and go to debian.org. As you can see on the top it says getting Debian. Let's click on that. Download an installation image. And I'm going for a small CD or USB stick. I'm going to go for the AMD 64. If you click on it, it will download automatically. I already downloaded it to save some time. So I'm going to minimize this. Open my downloads folder, and as you can see, here is my Debian. It's about 344 megabytes. So, okay, let's open WinSCP and upload the file to our XCP-ng server. Let's log in the host name 254. The username was root. And the password. Log in. Let's go one folder up. Go to var. Opt. And as you can see, there's our ISO folder. And let's drag Debian over there. Take some time. And it's done. Let's close the WinSCP. Go back to our Xen center. Sorry. Go back to our ISO folder. As you can see, there's nothing there. All we have to do is rescan, and it will appear in here. So the next thing we're going to do is click on New VM. Okay, we're going to scroll down a little bit. It says Debian 10. Next. I'm gonna call this Xen Orchestra. Next, we're gonna install from our ISO Debian. Next, yes, next. So this is important. The more processor we're gonna use, the faster it will compile. So we can change it in the future. For now, I'm just gonna go with 8, 4 sockets per 4 sockets with 2 cores per socket. I'm gonna upgrade the memory to 8 gigabyte. When it's done, I will bring it down to 4. The minimum is set for 4. If you do any lower than 4, it will not run. So next, I don't have a GPU. I'm gonna edit this to 15 gigabytes. That should be enough. Okay. Next, I'm gonna delete this one. I'm not using that. Next, create now. So I'm gonna walk through a very basic installation of Debian. Wait for it to appear. Here it is. Go to console. I'm gonna do install. So there are a few things that you have to install. I will show you later in the installation. Okay, yes. I am in Asia. So that's other. I'm in Asia. Somewhere in Indonesia. My keyboard layout is US. Configure the keyboard, American English, okay. So there will be parts of this where I'm gonna fast forward it because otherwise it's gonna take long. Please enter the host name. Let's make it Xen Orchestra, Xen Orchestra. Continue. Domain name, I'm not using one. Continue. Okay, root password. Let's make a root password. Continue, re-enter. Continue. Full name for new user. My name is Raymon, so why not? Yes. Choose a password. Re-enter. Okay, I'm in Jakarta, so sounds good to me. I'm going to use the entire disk. Yes. All files in one partition, yeah, should be enough for this tutorial. Finish partitioning and write changes to the disk. Enter. Write change to the disk. Yes. So wait for it to partition. Scan another CD or DVD. No. Okay, the goal is to find a mirror of Debian archive that's close to you. Yeah, well, I'm in Indonesia, so just leave it like default. I don't use a proxy. So as you could see in the fast forwarding, I changed the repository because the other one was closer by to me. What's important for this one is I don't need the graphical interface, so I'm gonna tick that off. I'm not gonna use a printer server. What I'm gonna use is an SSH server, so I'm gonna select that and I'm gonna continue with the installation. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is change the IP address to static. In the setup we did get an IP from the DHCP server, but I'm gonna change this into a static one. This because we're gonna access Xen Orchestra to the web browser on the IP address. So every time the machine reboots and it gets a new IP address from the DHCP server, it could be different. So I want to change this into a static one. I'm also gonna show you how to change the default SSH port of 22 into another port. If you're gonna use this machine in a data center or at home or somewhere in your office, there are a lot of hackers that gonna try to break in into the port 22. So I'm gonna change this port into a different one. And I'm gonna update the machine. So in order to do this, I'm gonna log in as root with the password. Make it a little bit like this. The first thing I'm going to do is change the IP address. I'm going to use my editor nano. I'm going to go to etc network slash interface, enter. As you can see, I'm going to go to the bottom where it says eface ethernet 0 enet dhcp. I'm going to change that into static. Then I'm going to go down. I'm going to use the address is 192.168.1.252. Enter. I'm going to use the netmask 255.255.255.0, and I'm going to use the gateway is my modem 1.1. DNS name servers. I'm going to use the one from Google 8.4.4. And I'm going to go a little bit to the bottom. I'm going to save this, Control X. Yes. Enter. Clear again. So the next thing I'm going to do is change the default SSH port. For that I'm going to use nano as well. 8dc ssh sshd.config_config. And as you can see, it says here port 22. Remove this, and I'm going to change the port into 1336, I think. Okay, as for this also Control X. Yes, I did save it, as you can see. Clear this one up, and the next thing I'm going to do is reboot the machine. Reboot. And wait for it to come back. Okay, so the machine is up again. Let's see if we can connect to PuTTY with the new IP address. So I'm going to minimize this. Going back to my downloads folder where I save PuTTY, and let's see if we can connect to the new IP 192.168.1.252, and our new SSA port was 1336. Let's open it. I'm getting the key fingerprint, so that's a good sign. Press yes. Okay, so because I did not set a root to allow to log in through SSH, I'm gonna log in as my user, as Raymon, with my password. And as you can see, I can successfully log in. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna update the machine. Always make sure when you want to install something or compile something that you have the latest updates. So for that I'm gonna log in back as a root with the password, and I'm gonna do apt get update and enter, and then I'm gonna press the arrow up and I'm gonna say upgrade. Okay, for me there is no updates because this is the latest install, but I recommend always to do this. So the next thing I'm gonna do is apt get install git, because we're gonna need that. Yes. Wait for it to finish. I'm gonna clear this. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is compile Xen Orchestra. I'm gonna show you how to do that, and I'm gonna show you how to enable HTTPS. So for that, I'm gonna minimize this. I'm gonna open my web browser. I will leave the link in the description. So just browsing to it. Xen Orchestra installer and updater. Install update Xen Orchestra from sources. In a nutshell, we can use CentOS, Ubuntu, Debian. There's a script, auto install. Okay, I will leave the link in the description so you can read it. For CentOS and for Debian, we need to install these packages, but the script is automated, so it will install everything for you. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go up, clone or download. I'm gonna copy this one, copy it. I'm going back to my PuTTY. I'm gonna say git clone, and I'm gonna press right mouse click, and as you can see it will start downloading. Then I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger, more easier to see, I think. ls, and as you can see there's a new folder, Xen Orchestra Updater. So what we're gonna do is cd, I'm using tab to complete it, and I'm gonna look inside the folder again, and as you can see here is our XO install automated script like we had in here. But the first thing we're gonna do is, if you want to enable HTTPS, we're gonna rename this config file. So I'm gonna go cp sample, and I'm gonna rename it to XO install.cfg. Enter. So as you can see, I renamed it from sample, here it is, to install cfg. So I'm going to clear this. Okay, so in order to make HTTPS work, we need to create some SSL certificates. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to minimize this in the background. We're going to a folder called ATC SSL. As you can see, we're going to see what's inside. We're going to make a directory to store our keys in. So, and I'm going to call that one a Xen. And as you can see, there's a folder. I'm going to open the folder. As you can see, there's nothing inside. So the next thing we're going to do is create two keys. Will leave a link in the description. I'm just going to copy and paste this. I'm going to press enter. Okay, country name. I'm living in Indonesia, so this should be different for you if you're not living in Indonesia but somewhere else. State or province, I'm living in Jakarta. and the city name is also Jakarta. Organization, I'm just gonna say YouTube test. Organizational unit, I'm gonna leave it as blank. I'm gonna leave this also as blank. Email address, I'm just gonna use admin.com. And as you can see, it did finish. And let's see what we have in the folder. And as you can see, we have xen.crt and xen.key. So let's go. Let me clear this. Okay, so the next thing we need to do, we need to go back into the installer folder. So if you did it the same way as me, you logged in as your user, we're going to go to cd/home, then your username. In my case, it was Raymon. And then I'm going to show you. We need to go back inside the Xen Orchestra installer and updater. So I'm going to go inside that folder. And we need to tell this file where it can find those two certificates we just created, and we need to change the port. So in this case, I'm going to use nano. You should use, if you're using a different editor, just use it whatever you make feels you comfortable. I'm just using nano. XOCFG, enter. And as you can see, we need to change the port to the 443, and then we're going to go down. Make sure that this line is uncommented, plugins all. Then we need to go to the bottom and we need to point out where it can find the CRT file. So in that case, it was /atc/ssl. Then the folder name which you just created. In my case, it was called Xen. Then the name of the CRT file. In my case, it was also Xen.crt. I'm gonna go to the bottom. /atc/ssl/xen/xen.key. Then I'm going to press Control X, save changes yes, and enter. And then I'm going to clear this. I'm going to cut the XOCFG, and as you can see, we did change the port to 443, and we point out where it can find the certificates set up. I'm going to clear this once more. Okay, so now we added the config file. We're gonna finally begin by compiling Xen Orchestra. So the only thing we need to do is type in the following command: /xo tab install sh, enter. So welcome to the automated Xen Orchestra install. Following options will be used for installation. Now as you can see, we are using Debian 10, the base there. The username is root, the port is 443, HTTPS is true. We're pulling from the branch for source is the master. Following plugins will be installed, and that's all. So the only thing we need to do is press auto install. So we're going to press 1, and it's going to pull all the files it needs to compile Xen Orchestra. So if you want to save some time, you can go ahead and install these manually, because we are using Debian, so we can install these things all manually, but the script is automated, so why not leave it at default? So when I press enter, it will start compiling. So I'm gonna speed it up a little bit because it's gonna take a long time and I don't want to make the video too long. So I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. Okay, as you can see, we successfully compiled Xen Orchestra. There are some things I want to point out for you. The web UI started at port 443. That means we have to approach it with the HTTPS. The default username is admin@admin.net and the password is admin. I would recommend you to change that. So let's try to open it. I'm going to open Chrome, new tab, HTTPS 192.168.1.252. I'll press enter. Your connection is not private. I'm going to click on advanced, proceed. And as you can see, we get the login page for Xen Orchestra. So I'm going to log in as admin@admin.net and the password is admin. Sign in. You are using XO from the sources. Just press OK. And as you can see, we have successfully installed. So I'm going to add my server. Add server. Label. What was the name? It was called test server. The address is 192.168.1.254. The username is root. The password. And I'm gonna allow unauthorized certificates. You have to click on this because my test server does not have an official certificate. So I'm gonna click it and I'm gonna press connect. Okay, so now that we have successfully connected, we can go to VMs. I can show you, this is our two VMs we currently have running on our XCP-ng server. Let's click on the Windows YouTube. As you can see, we have 4 processors, 4 GB, 1 NIC, 50 GB hard disk. We can see the stats because we already installed the Windows Management Agent. We can click on console. We can access our VM. Let's try to log in so I can show you. As you can see, we can access our VMs to the web browser. Let's go a little bit back up. You can see network. Because we installed the Windows Management Agent, we can also see our IP address the VM is using. We can see our disk. We can make snapshots. We can make backups. We can see the logs of this VM and we can click on advanced. Here you can pause, suspend, force reboot, convert to template and remove. What I want to show you is auto power on. This means when the server loses power and the server comes back online, if this is clicked, the XCP-ng will automatically start this VM. This I'm going to show you later when I'm going to install pfSense. I'm going to build my network behind pfSense and I will show you what will happen if if my server loses power and I cannot connect behind pfSense because pfSense is not automatically started up. So that is for the next episode. I'm going to go back up. No, we're going to go back up. Yes. I'm going to show you, we go to settings, we go to users, and here you can change the default password. You can make a new username if you wish to desire. But I would recommend you to change the default passwords. So just have a look inside Xen Orchestra, what you can all do. You can also update the XCP-ng. Let me see where that was. If we go to host, we go to master. There are 7 patches for XCP-ng, and here you can just click on it and it will automatically install. So that's it for this episode. The next episode I will install pfSense. I will show you how to install pfSense, and from there I'm gonna do some things with pfSense. I'm gonna show you a little bit more of Xen Orchestra. And yeah, if you have questions, comments, just please leave a like, comment. I will try to reply them. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next episode. Okay, bye.